what you need to know is that the indicative is not the subjunctive. So remember to use the indicative to talk about past, present, and future events that you are reasonably certain have happened, are happening, or will happen. So if you're reasonably certain that something has happened or is happening right now or will happen, then we're just going to use the indicative. And that can be any of the tenses that we've learned. It can be the past, using the preterite or the imperfect. It can be the present. It could be the future or the indicative. Or if we're talking about the past, in the context of something else that has happened, we can use the present perfect or the pluperfect, but those are all indicative tenses. All the ones we've learned this year before the subjunctive are indicative tenses. And that's because we're pretty sure that whatever happened or is happening or will happen actually happened. But there are some situations where we aren't sure or where it's subjective. And in those cases, we use the subjunctive. So we're going to use the subjunctive in these situations. First, to express wishes. The W in weird is for wishes. So what are some phrases that we've already learned that you can use to talk about things that you would like to happen or that you wish or that you want? What are some of those phrases? You can say them or you can type them. Sorry, did I cut somebody off?
One of them is I hope.
I hope, perfect. So we could have esperar que, and we can have that esperar conjugated for anybody. So it could be I hope or he hopes or we hope or whatever, as long as we conjugate it correctly. So yo espero que or nosotros esperamos que or something like that. What else do we have? Yep, I want. Esperar que can mean I hope or I wish. But we can also use desire, desear que, or querer que, I want. And that's an IE stem changing verb, to want. We also have the phrase ojalá. And there's no K in that phrase, but ojalá, oh, there is a K, my bad. Ojalá que something happens. I hope that, I wish that, God willing, this happens. Ojalá que. So that's our W. Our W is our first letter and it stands for wishes. So we use the subjunctive when we're talking about things that we want to happen. either because we aren't sure they're going to happen or because we're trying to influence somebody else's actions. So you could say, I hope it's nice tomorrow. And then you're not really sure if it's going to be nice or not. Or you could say, I hope Senorita doesn't give us a lot of homework. And there you're trying to influence my actions through you saying, I hope. So those are two reasons why we'd use the subjunctive, either because we're not sure or because we're trying to influence somebody else. Okay, our next letter is E. And the E is for emotions. All right, can anybody remember any of our emotion phrases? Yeah, perfect. Sophie's already on there. So I'm gonna, rather than conjugating this, I'm gonna write these in the infinitive. So alegrarse de que, I'm happy that, or estar triste, okay, which would be like to be sad that. We can also say es triste que, meaning that it is sad that. They're slightly different things. So a person is sad versus a situation is sad. So Sophie, the next one you have is I'm mad that. We haven't used that one at all, but I can think of a good way to say that. Give me a little while. I'm having a moment where I can't remember how to say mad, angry. Oh, enojado. I'm angry that. To be mad that. We also have things like I'm sorry that. Sentir que. The stem changing verb. And I think there's one more. Oh, I'm afraid that. To be afraid that. So those are some of the phrases that would use emotion. Now, the reason that we use the subjunctive here is because things that make you feel a certain way might not make somebody else feel the same way. So you can't be certain that everybody would agree with you saying that something makes you happy or sad or angry, because not everyone's affected the same way. So we use the subjunctive with emotions because not everyone's affected in the same way. Our next letter is I, and that is for impersonal expressions. Impersonal expressions. So these are expressions that you use to make an opinion without saying specifically that it's your opinion. Yep, Sophie's still getting them. Can anyone think of any more? We have so far es importante que, or es necesario que. There are a lot. Es increíble que, it's incredible that. Es increíble que. Thank you, Paxton. How about Es bueno, okay? It's good that? Or es malo, okay? It's bad that? Any others we can think of? Yep, it's a shame that. Good. Es una lástima. Okay. Or even es ridículo. Okay. Sophie, sometimes es posible is included with these. I want to include it in another place just because it makes more sense included somewhere else. I do think that I taught you guys that one like when we learned these though. So it makes sense to group it here too. We're gonna hang on to that one. So our next letter is R, and we haven't learned any phrases that fall under this yet. I'm not sure that we're going to, but it is important to know that that these exist. So R is for recommendations. To make recommendations. When you're making a recommendation, you're trying to tell someone what to do without telling them what to do. So you're trying to influence their behavior, which is another time when we would use the subjunctive. We're trying to influence somebody else's behavior without using commands. So some phrases for recommendations or suggestions. Yep, yeah, to suggest, exactly. I suggest that. So we have, I'm just gonna give you guys two. Sugerir, okay. I suggest that. And recomendar, okay, to recommend that. And those are both stem changing verbs. So I suggest that you do this. I recommend that he does this. So we're trying to influence somebody's actions, but we can't be certain that they'll actually do that thing. So it's a good time to use the subjunctive. Okay, the last letter that we have is D. And D is for doubt. And we have a ton of phrases that indicate doubt. We had a ton of phrases that indicated doubt. The first one is going to be es posible. It's possible, but we don't know for sure. And we could also have es imposible. Okay. What else do we have? We have a lot of phrases to suggest doubt. Yep, to doubt. Yep, dudar, okay. For yo dudo, okay. What else do we have? You can say them in English if you can't remember them in Spanish. I don't think that. No pensar que. You could also have, I don't believe that, or not to not believe something. No creer que. Yo no creo que. We have, it's not true. It's not true that. Or we have, it's not certain that. No es seguro que. And then we have two more that don't use que. We have two more phrases that don't use que. And those are quizás, which sometimes doesn't have the S, and tal vez. And those both mean like maybe or perhaps. So remembering that acronym might help you to decide whether or not you need to use the subjunctive. If one of these phrases is in your first clause, and then after K, you have another verb, you need to use the subjunctive in that second clause. Remember that they're two separate ideas. So when you do your assignment today, I would keep this handy. I would look at this. I'm going to post it on Classroom for you. Your assignment is going to be a Google form. I know you guys are sick of those by now, but I think that's the best way to do this one, where you need to look at the sentence and decide whether to conjugate the verb in the indicative, because you're sure that it has happened or will happen or is happening, or in the subjunctive, because you see one of these phrases that tells you you're not sure, or it's not true for everybody, or you're trying to get somebody to do something. Okay, any questions on this? Okay. Oh, I see something. No questions. Okay, perfect. Then I'll let you guys go so you can go outside and enjoy the sunshine. And I will talk to you next week.
Adios.
Adios. Have a great day. Gracias. Adios. Adios.